just doesn't seem right, Brian, to actually kill a crop. That seems crazy, doesn't it?
Well, possibly, but you know, if I need to sacrifice the crop because there's so many weeds, I might just do it. No,
well,
I'm kidding. I wouldn't sacrifice the crop, but what we're going to talk about today is desiccation and pre-harvest burn down. Some of the fields around the country that are starting to finish up, like winter wheat in some areas of the country, we need some extra weed control right before harvest.
Well, if those weeds are going to make harvest difficult, like for example, say you've got great big lush green weeds out there and your crop's all ready to go. Sometimes you just can't get the combine through the field if you've got to cut through all those big thick green weeds. So if you can get out there ahead of time before harvest and kill those weeds so they're dead, then those stems are brittle and dry and they cut through really nice.
Okay, so that's one area of this thing. The other area is with desiccation of the crop.
Well, throughout any field and just about any crop, you're going to see some variability in the field with the time that it matures and the stalks dry out. So to even up things in time for harvest, using a desiccation, or basically killing that crop right at the end of its growth stage when the seed is already made and you're just waiting for it to dry out a little bit, can even up things and make harvest a lot more predictable.
Well, it can, but let's talk about a crop like soybeans, for example, that you don't want to, most of the time, do a desiccation. What'll happen is, if let's say you've got the hilltops that are already mature, but down in the valleys, they're not ready to go yet, you say, well, let's even this thing up, or let's have a hard frost down there, that'll finish it up. Yeah, you can do that, but if that crop is not fully mature, then you've got a real issue. So you've got to do this at the right time. You can't do it too early or you're going to hurt yield. And the other thing is you're going to hurt seed quality and possibly even test weight.
Well, it takes a little scouting and a little bit of know-how. There's no question to it. It's going to take a little time getting through the fields, looking at things, inspecting those crops to make sure that everything's ready to go so you get the timing just right. But desiccation can be very useful. The crop that I always think about is sunflowers. That's one where a lot of times a pre-harvest desiccation can be just the right thing to make harvest timing predictable. And let's say you have lots of acres. You say, well, man, this isn't going to work for me. I go spray them all and then they're all ready at the same time. You aren't going to spray them all. You're going to spray one field or two fields, whatever you can harvest in a day. Then you wait a day or two and then you spray some more, and so on and so on. And that way you can space out your harvest time and everything's great so you can roll right through the fields.
Okay, let's talk about the products that could be used late in the season. A lot of people will talk about 2,4-D, but you got to be real careful when you're doing it and check the label. Now with Roundup in some crops, you could go out and spray the Roundup and harvest 3 days later. Again, though, make sure you're checking the label because every crop is a little bit different. The problem with both Roundup and 2,4-D is they're kind of slow. Now 2,4-D is much faster than Roundup, but both of them are kind of slow. Let's talk about the fast products there are in the market.
Well, you can talk about Gramoxone. I don't know if there's much faster than that. Gramoxone's kind of a fun one if you haven't worked with that before. It's not the safest product to be around.
It's no more dangerous than gasoline that you pump in your car every day, though.
Okay, well, yes, but compared to Roundup, the safety factor is a little bit worse, so you do have to be careful with it and use the proper handling techniques. But what's fun is if you're out spraying Gramoxone on a 90-degree day and you take a lunch break, chances are you don't have to mark where you left off in the field because by the time you get back, you'll already start to see the effects of that Gramoxone.
Yep, another product that is fairly fast is Valor. A lot of people have been using that in the last couple of years. And a new herbicide that's kind of similar to Valor, it's called Kixor, or the brand name that a lot of people will use is Sharpen, that contains the Kixor, and that's real fast. We've talked to a lot of farmers in the southern United States who love it on mare's tail, for example, especially Roundup resistant mare's tail.
Well, here's the thing. All these products that we mentioned, they're labeled in one crop but not in the other. And so you do have to check the labels depending on which crop you're raising. The other thing you need to be cautious about is adjuvant use. Now, you think, oh, okay, I'm going to use one of these products, maybe say it's Sharpen, and I'm just going to go out and burn things. Well, if you go out with straight Sharpen and water with no adjuvants, you aren't going to have the kind of impact that you could have if you threw some crop oil and ammonium sulfate with it. So do check the labels or consult your local agronomy staff for which adjuvant should I be using with this certain product and this certain crop.
Well, it is really important that you get your weeds under control, whether it's early in the season or late in the season, especially if you have our Weed of the Week. We'll tell you how to stop it on your farm coming up next.